Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Hoosier Hysteria gives IU fans a preview of what's to come with basketball season just around the corner.
And both Hoosier soccer squads struggle to find their footing in Big Ten competition. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Noah Harrison.
And I'm Anthony McClain. It's a little cloudy outside.
Yeah, not too pretty.
It's sunny out here though.
Hey. Well, if it could go wrong, it did go wrong last weekend for the IU football team in Happy Valley. Indiana struggled all game against Penn State and suffered their first shutout loss since October of 2000. The offense failed to get going and the Hoosiers couldn't stay out of the injury tent either. Cam Jones, Jalen Williams, and Reese Taylor were just a few of the many Hoosiers to go down. And All-American Tywan Mullen didn't even suit up. But the worst injury news of all for the Hoosiers was the status of their quarterback.
Just wanted to give an update on Michael Penix, and just wanted to just start by saying that he does have a AC separation in his left shoulder. So he'll be rehabbing that, and he'll be week to week.
Allen said at least for now, it's not believed that Penix will need surgery on his throwing shoulder, but it's possible that will change. After the bye this weekend, IU will host Michigan State for homecoming. Expect Jack Tuttle to be under the center as the Hoosiers seek their first conference win of the season.
Last weekend, the Indiana men's and women's basketball teams held their annual Hoosier Hysteria event. Our IUS TV sports basketball beat reporters Audrey Osberger, Jevin McClain, Brett Smith, and Evan Kamiko have more.
Basketball is back with a bang. Over the weekend, Hoosier Hysteria took place at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall, where fans got a glimpse of what to expect this season from the men's and women's basketball teams.
Evan Kamiko, Jevin McClain, your IUS TV Sports men's basketball beat reporters.
Audrey Hausberger and Brett Smith here for IUS TV Sports.
Fans got to hear from both head coaches, and IU basketball legend Isaiah Thomas also made a brief appearance.
Jevin, what were your biggest takeaways from Hoosier Hysteria today?
Over 500 days, no fans. First things first, it was just great to see people in the stands. Obviously, you get into Hoosier Hysteria. Parker Stewart shot the ball extremely well during the three-point contest. Xavier Johnson, Rob Finnessy, both the point guards, really held their own in the skills competition. And of course, Trace Jackson Davis turned the dunk contest, brought home the crown. Who else thought he's going to win that?
Harry Morin and Ali Patberg come out here and address the crowd. I think they were pretty excited. What did you like when you heard Terry Morin speak?
I felt like the overall message from Terry Morin to not only the fans but the players was so impactful. The high five habit, I really loved that message. It really got everybody involved and really set the tone for the event. The introductions were probably the most underrated thing. I thought the players really came out with a lot of energy and really got the fans going.
They're paying respect to the past while moving forward is a big thing that's been missing from IU basketball for so long.
The men's basketball team tips off at home against Eastern Michigan on November 9th, and the women's team tips off at Butler on November 10th. For Audrey Hausberger, Brett Smith, Jevin McClain, I'm Evan Kamiko, and we are your IUS TV men's and women's basketball beat reporters. Make sure to follow us all season for updates.
The men's and women's basketball seasons tip off the 9th and 10th of November. Be sure to follow Brett, Audrey, Jevin, and Evan for all the latest basketball news.
After coming off two impressive outings against Northwestern and Michigan State, the Indiana men's soccer team faced a tough task last Friday against the Michigan Wolverines. Our men's soccer beat reporter Ta Lau has the latest on how the match went.
Final here from Bill Armstrong Stadium, Michigan 2, Indiana 1, a game that saw the Hoosiers' 10-game unbeaten run against the Wolverines finally come to an end.
The match started off well for Indiana. It had 3 shots on goal in the first half. Sam Sarver and Herbert Enele were the 2 key players who came closest to finding the back of the net. Then just after the hour mark, Herbert Enele was brought down and Victor Becerra stepped up to slot in his first of the season. Things were looking good for IU as it created up to 14 shot attempts in the match. But then, against the run of play, Evan Rasmussen headed home for Michigan to tie things up with less than 10 minutes to go. Then in first overtime, an early header by Derek Brochi went past Roman Celentano and secured Michigan its first win against IU in over 10 matches.
We got to get results, we all know that. But if we continue to perform on and off like we've been at times this year, we're not going to get where we want to go. So we got to get that piece. And usually they play out and you get the results and they flip. But, our sport can be tough and cruel and, it's tight margins, like I said, and it's one play changes the complexion. We have such a great fan base. The students have been awesome. Their fans have been great. So you want to reward them. You want to leave excited for them. It would have been great to get another bagel today. So, I feel for the fans because, they usually leave Armstrong smiling, as we all do. And it's not easy to drop one. But that's the nature of what we do. We just got to get up and get back for the next one.
IU drops to 5-3-1 and will look to get back to winning ways next Wednesday against Omaha here at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Be sure to follow me and IUSTV Sports for all the latest content you need on this IU men's soccer team.
IU will play 2 non-conference games before returning to Big Ten action next week against Ohio State. Be sure to follow Ta for all the updates on men's soccer.
The Indiana women's soccer team walked away from this weekend with 2 ties and 2 more points to add to their Big Ten standings. After traveling to Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Hoosiers hosted Michigan this past Sunday. Our women's soccer beat reporter Kara Adams has more.
It was a big week for IU women's soccer and conference play as they traveled to Ohio State last Thursday and hosted Michigan this past Sunday. IU walked away with 2 ties and 2 points from both games. While they had been hoping for a little bit more from the draws, specifically the Ohio State game, the Hoosiers still ended the spell with 2 convincing performances to add to their resume. On Thursday, IU drew to Ohio State 1-1. IU went down early due to a defensive miscommunication in the 18-yard box, but equalized in the second half thanks to a header from Jen Blichok. Neither team was able to break the ice, and the match ended with points shared on both sides. This past Sunday, IU had hoped to have a top 25 upset against number 17 Michigan, but another draw was the final result of the afternoon. The teams came out strong with the game going back and forth and a multitude of chances from both sides. IU forwards Paige Weber and Melanie Forbes almost put the Hoosiers on top, but Michigan keeper Hillary Beal was able to keep the Hoosiers off the board. Freshman Jamie Gerstenberg and Camille Ham kept the Wolverines at bay and were defensively sound in the back line. Ham came up huge when she helped clear a Michigan shot right in the 6-yard box, and Gerstenberg stopped back-to-back attempts in the first half. After a scoreless first and second half, the game was headed into overtime, but about a minute in, a lightning delay suspended the game. Because of weather conditions, both coaches agreed to end the match in a draw. IU now has an 8-2-3 record and is 2-1-2 in Big Ten play. Head coach Erwin Van Bennekom hopes the Hoosiers can take their momentum into future matches.
Yeah, I think it's just a feeling. The team just feels like even today, we've tied them before. Like last year we beat them and it was kind of against the run of play. 2 years ago we tied them at that place and we were just holding on for their life. And today I thought the game was even. And it's like, you come out of this game and you're like, okay, this is 2 fairly even teams. We always had to kind of plan around staying in the game with them. And I think now we're even. So I think just that feeling of like, hey, we're as good as anybody, we can beat anybody, and definitely we don't feel too good for anybody. I think that mindset is just going to keep growing.
They head to Evanston, Illinois this Friday to take on Northwestern. Kickoff is set for 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Time, and the Hoosiers will look for another win against a conference opponent. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Kara Adams.
The Hoosiers will look to take their momentum from 2 solid performances into their game against Northwestern this Friday.
Indiana volleyball took on Penn State Nittany Lions last Saturday at Wilkinson Hall. Our Josh Bodie has the scoop.
Indiana volleyball dropped a tough match to Penn State on Saturday. The Hoosiers fought hard and won in set 2 and tied both sets 1 and 4 late in the set. However, the Nittany Lions ultimately had too much firepower, winning by a score of 3-1.
But we battled back, which I respected. I thought we played really hard towards the end of game 3 that got us some momentum. And then we were down, maybe 19-15 or something in game 4, but we battled and battled and battled. So, I have a ton of respect for that program for obvious reasons, and they play really hard all the time, and I want my program to do the same, and I thought for the majority of the night we did. So I was proud of that.
After the loss, the Hoosiers are now on a 3-game losing streak, but all are to top 15 teams, those being Purdue at home, Ohio State on the road, and Penn State at home. Despite the losses, Coach Aird says that the team has trained and improved.
So for me, it's 3 losses, but I think we got better through it. I thought we trained through it. I think we saw a lot of really good things from some young people, and now it's can we keep getting better.
Coach Aird is still confident in the team's ability to pick off top Big Ten squads. If the team keeps grinding and working hard, the wins will come.
I really like the team. I mean, if we compete, I think we can compete with anyone, and we've proven that by playing some really good teams tough. We've got to keep pounding the rock. It'll crack at some point, and we'll pick someone off that we're not supposed to, and it'll be a good deal.
That'll do it for this week's IU volleyball coverage. Be sure to follow along as the season progresses. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Josh Bodie.
The loss dropped Indiana to a 1-3 record in the Big Ten. Coming up this weekend, the Hoosiers take a road trip to the East Coast to play Rutgers on Friday and Maryland on Saturday.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at how the Hoosier cross-country teams performed in the Joe Piani Invitational this past weekend.
And we catch up with the Hoosier softball squad following their fall exhibition this past weekend. You're watching Hoosier Sports Nite. Welcome back.
The women's golf team competed in the Courtney Cole Invitational this past week at the Fowl course right here in Bloomington. The Hoosiers shot 8 over as a team on both days to secure their first team victory since the 2019 season. Junior Valerie Clancy had a great second round, firing a 71, 1 under par to finish in second place. Yet it was freshman Anya Donegan who secured the individual victory by finishing at even par after both days. The Ireland native is the first Hoosier to win an event since 2019, and it certainly won't be her last.
IU field hockey traveled to Pennsylvania this weekend for 2 games versus Penn State and Rutgers. The Hoosiers dropped Game 1 to Penn State with a score of 1-4. Despite the defensive efforts of sophomore Megan Dillon and the goals scored in the second quarter by junior Kennedy Reardon, Penn State played a much stronger game. Moving on to Game 2 of the weekend, IU played a closer match against Rutgers, but the Hoosiers still fell short to the Scarlet Knights. The game went into double overtime, and Rutgers scored with 30 seconds remaining. The Hoosiers will look to redeem themselves this Friday as they take on the Ohio State Buckeyes in Columbus, Ohio at 3 o'clock.
The Hoosier cross-country squads were back in action last Friday at the Joe Piani Invitational up in South Bend. The men's team was placed by Arun Jha, who finished 18th overall with a time of 23:57. He was followed by Ben Veach and Gabriel Sanchez, who finished 40th and 77th respectively. The women's race saw Sarah Schmidt and Mariah Worley finish back-to-back at the 62nd and 63rd to lead the Hoosiers. Hannah Stoffel also added a top 100 finish. The next race for Indiana will be in Madison, Wisconsin at the Nuttycombe Invitational on October 15th. This will be their last chance to gear up for the Big Ten Championship later this month.
IU men's tennis traveled to East Lansing this past weekend to compete in the Drobach Beeman Invite. The team ran into some tough competition, going 4-9 in singles and 4-7 in doubles. However, the team of Ilya Tiraspolsky and Michael Andre had an impressive second-place finish in doubles, falling just short of first when they lost to Notre Dame. The team will be heading on the road again this weekend to travel to South Carolina to compete in the Clemson Invite.
Indiana softball continued their fall exhibition schedule this past weekend right here in Bloomington. IUS TV sports reporter Mason Williams has the recap.
Over the past weekend, the Indiana softball team hosted 2 separate doubleheaders as a part of their 2021 fall exhibition slate. Friday night's doubleheader saw the visiting Louisville Cardinals take on the Hoosiers on a picturesque night at Andy Moore Field. Senior Natalie Four towed the rubber in Game 1 for the Hoosiers in a back-and-forth affair that saw all the lead changes, excitement, and drama of a midseason contest. Additionally, timely hitting from both squads and a great crowd provided the atmosphere that the Hoosiers will need to become accustomed to this upcoming spring. In the end, it was Purdue transfer Cora Bassett providing the winning spark with this solo shot down the left field line to win it 8-7. Take a look. The Hoosiers would go on to win Game 2 Friday night before welcoming the Lakeland College Lakers to Bloomington on Sunday. This time, it was familiar face and veteran leader Grayson Radcliffe providing the fireworks for the IU offense, hitting for the cycle in a 13-4 rout of the Lakers in Game 1. As for the other half of the doubleheader, Mother Nature had other plans and the game was rained out. The Hoosiers remain unbeaten on the fall, sitting at 5-0 on the exhibition schedule. They will round out their fall at the University of Southern Indiana Friday night before welcoming Danville Area Community College to Bloomington on Saturday to draw the curtains closed on the fall. Fans are allowed at Andy Moore Field on Saturday with first pitch scheduled for 5 p.m. For updates on the IU softball team and all IU athletics, be sure to follow myself as well as IUSTV Sports on Twitter and Instagram at IUSTV Sports. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Mason Williams.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at IUSTV Sports. For our production crew behind us, I'm Anthony McClain.
And I'm Noah Harrison. We'll see you next week.